Hey everyone, today we're counting down the top 10 new free-to-play MMORPG games you need to try right now. If you want fresh worlds, smooth combat, huge boss raids, and guild wars that feel alive, you're in the right place. Every game on this list is playable for free, so you can jump in as soon as this video ends. Stick around to the end because the last picks are seriously addictive. Let's start the countdown. Arknights. Endfield drops you onto a hostile new world where every step feels like a mission, and every fight feels like you earned it. You're building a base, scouting the map, and pulling a squad together that actually matters, because this isn't just spam skills and win. You've got real positioning, timing, and combos that make battles feel like a tactical puzzle, but with the speed and impact of an action game. One moment you're managing your team's roles and cooldowns, the next you're dodging, swapping units, and watching a clean chain of abilities melt a threat that looked impossible 10 seconds ago. What makes Arknights Endfield special is the vibe, too. It's sci-fi, it's mysterious, and it has that something's wrong here atmosphere without forcing horror. The world design feels big and explorable, and the story tone has weight, like you're uncovering rules you're not supposed to know yet. If you like squad building, satisfying combat, and that feeling of growing stronger because you played smarter, Arknights Endfield is one of those games you don't just try once. You end up planning your next run while the screen is still loading. Duet Abyss throws you into a stylish fantasy world that feels fast, fluid, and dangerously addictive the moment you take control. This isn't the kind of game where you stand still and trade hits. You're constantly moving, dodging, swapping weapons, and chaining abilities like you're making your own highlight reel. The combat has that clean, snappy impact where every slash and skill feels responsive, and the best part is how it rewards timing. If you play smart, you don't just survive a fight, you control it. What really sells Duet Abyss is the atmosphere. The world looks bright, but it has a mysterious edge, like there are secrets hiding behind every beautiful location. Exploration feels purposeful because you're not only hunting loot, you're unlocking new systems, meeting characters with real personality, and stepping into story moments that feel cinematic without dragging. The progression hits that sweet spot too, where you're always improving your build, upgrading gear, and tweaking your playstyle so your character feels more like your character over time. If you want a mobile action RPG that looks premium, feels smooth, and keeps giving you reasons to come back, Duet Abyss is absolutely one to watch, and once you're in, it's hard to stop at just one more mission. Hunter's Origin drops you into a classic fantasy MMO vibe, but with the pace turned up so you're never just standing around waiting for something to happen. From the first minutes, it's all about building your hunter, picking a class that fits your style, and jumping straight into quests, dungeons, and boss fights that actually feel like a team activity, not background noise. Combat is easy to read on mobile, but it still has that satisfying rhythm where you're timing skills, watching cooldowns, and positioning so you don't get deleted the second a boss changes phases. The world is packed with the stuff MMO players live for: gear upgrades that you can feel, rare drops worth chasing, and progression that pushes you to keep tweaking your build. What makes Hunter's Origin stand out is how it leans into community. You're encouraged to party up, join a guild, and take on big events where the screen fills with players and chaos in the best way. And if you're the type who likes competition, there's PvP and leaderboard grinding that gives you a reason to keep improving even after your main questline starts slowing down. If you want a mobile MMORPG that feels straightforward, active, and built for daily play without being confusing, Hunter's Origin is one of those games you can boot up for 5 minutes. Perfect World Ascend is the kind of mobile MMORPG that instantly gives you that big fantasy world feeling, with soaring skies, dramatic landscapes, and a character that actually looks and feels powerful as you grow. The first thing you notice is how it leans into classic MMO energy. Pick your class, learn your role, then start building a character that becomes stronger not just by leveling, but by smart upgrades, gear choices, and the way you play in fights. Combat feels clean on mobile, but it still has that satisfying rhythm where you're rotating skills, watching timing, and moving with purpose instead of just auto-playing through everything. What really sells Perfect World Ascend is the scale. You've got open areas to explore, quests that move you forward fast, and the kind of group content MMO players chase, like dungeons, bosses, and guild activities where teamwork actually matters. And because it's an MMO, the social side is a big part of the experience. Joining a guild isn't just a badge, it's access to events, rewards, and those moments where your screen is packed with players pushing the same goal. If you want a mobile MMORPG that feels like a true adventure with real progression, satisfying combat, and that classic log in and get stronger every day loop, Perfect World Ascend is one of those games that can easily become your main grind. Sword of Justice is the kind of mobile MMORPG that feels like stepping into a living wuxia world, where every mountain path, lantern-lit town, and misty battlefield looks like it came straight out of a martial arts epic. You're not just picking a class and grinding levels, you're choosing a fighting style, building your identity, and shaping how you move through the world. Combat is fast and stylish, with skills that feel crisp on mobile and fights that reward timing, positioning, and smart combos, instead of mindless button spam. When you land a clean chain of abilities and watch enemies get controlled or burst down, it feels earned. What really makes Sword of Justice stand out is the MMO scale, mixed with that cinematic atmosphere. You've got open-world exploration, story quests that actually feel like a journey, and group content that pushes you into teamwork, from dungeons to big events where dozens of players collide. The social side is a huge part of it too, because joining a guild, forming parties, and coordinating roles can completely change how quickly you progress. And if you're competitive, PvP and faction-style conflict give you that constant reason to keep improving your build and gearing up. If you want a mobile MMORPG that looks premium, feels smooth, and delivers that martial arts fantasy with real community energy, Sword of Justice is absolutely one of the must-play picks to keep on your radar. Ragnarok M Classic Global is basically a nostalgia hit with modern convenience, bringing that classic Ragnarok Online vibe back in a way that actually works for mobile. The moment you log in, you feel it. The cute but iconic art style, the familiar towns, the cozy music, and that simple just one more grind loop that turns into hours without you noticing. You choose your class, start building your character step by step, and before long you're chasing upgrades, refining gear, and planning your next job change like it's a real-life decision. Combat is easy to follow on a phone, but it still has depth because your build matters. Stats, skills, cards, and equipment choices can completely change how strong you feel, especially when you start farming specific spots and hunting for rare drops. And the best part is the MMO heart of it. Parties, guilds, MVP bosses, and big group events are where the game really comes alive, because Ragnarok has always been about community, not just solo leveling. Whether you're grinding with friends, joining guild wars, or just hanging out in town flexing your outfit and mounts, it has that social energy that newer MMOs sometimes miss. If you want a mobile MMORPG that feels classic, addictive, and built around progression and community, Ragnarok M Classic Global is one of those games you can jump into today and still be playing weeks later. Legend of Ymir 2 pulls you into a brutal Norse-inspired world where everything feels cold, heavy, and mythic, like you're living inside a saga instead of just playing another mobile MMO. The vibe is serious, the landscapes feel massive, and the game really leans into that survive, grow stronger, prove yourself fantasy. Combat is built around momentum. You're weaving skills, timing bursts, and reading enemy attacks, so you're not just face-tanking everything. And once you start dialing in your build, you feel the power curve fast, better gear, stronger passives, cleaner rotations, and suddenly the same enemies that bullied you early on become your farming route. Where Legend of YMIR 2 shines is the MMO loop. You've got dungeons and bosses that push teamwork, guild progression that gives you long-term goals, and that constant chase for upgrades that actually change how you play. And if you're the competitive type, the world has plenty of reasons to clash, whether it's PvP zones, guild conflict, or racing other players for rare spawns and rewards. If you want a mobile MMORPG that feels darker, more mature, and more epic than the usual bright fantasy grind, Legend of Ymir 2 is one of those games that can easily become your main daily login. Raven 2 is a dark fantasy mobile MMORPG that goes for that heavy, dramatic vibe where everything feels bigger, sharper, and more intense than your usual mobile grind. From the first minutes, you can tell it wants to feel like a premium MMO. Cinematic scenes, detailed environments, and combat that looks brutal without being complicated to control. You pick a class that fits your style, then the game quickly pulls you into a loop of quests, dungeon runs, and gear chasing that actually feels rewarding because you constantly see your character getting stronger. The combat is all about impact. Skills hit hard, animations feel weighty, and when you time your bursts right, you can wipe a pack fast or chunk a boss in a way that feels satisfying on a phone. Progression is where the addiction starts, though. You're enhancing equipment, hunting better drops, upgrading systems that stack on top of each other, and suddenly you're thinking like an MMO player again. One more run, one more upgrade, then I'll log off. And of course, the MMO side is a big part of the experience. Guilds, group content, and large-scale battles give you that community chaos where coordination matters and the rewards feel earned. If you want a mobile MMORPG with a darker atmosphere, strong visuals, and that classic grind-to-power fantasy, Raven 2 is one of those games that can easily take over your daily playtime. Blue Protocol. Star Resonance is the kind of mobile MMORPG that feels like you're stepping straight into a high-budget anime world. Bright skies, bold colors, and characters that look like they belong in a cinematic trailer. But it's not just pretty. The game is built around fast, real-time combat where movement matters. You're dodging, timing skills, swapping targets, and trying to play clean instead of just standing still and letting autoplay do everything. When fights click, it feels smooth and stylish, like an action game that just happens to have MMO scale. What really makes Blue Protocol Star Resonance stand out is the sense of adventure. You've got big zones to explore, story quests that feel like a journey, and plenty of MMO content that pushes you toward other players, dungeons, boss hunts, parties, guild play, and those crowded events where the screen fills up and it finally feels like a true online world. Progression keeps you hooked too. You're chasing better gear, improving your build, and fine-tuning how your class plays so you can hit harder, survive longer, and move faster through content. If you're looking for a mobile MMORPG that looks premium, feels action-focused, and gives you that log in and live in this world vibe, Blue Protocol Star Resonance is absolutely a must-watch, because once you get into the rhythm, it's hard to put down. Where Winds Meet drops you into a beautiful wuxia world where you're not just following a quest marker, you're living inside a martial arts legend. You play as a young swordmaster caught in chaos, and the game makes you feel it with fast, fluid combat that's all about timing, movement, and style. You're parrying, dodging, chaining skills, and switching between techniques like you're directing your own fight scene. One clean combo can delete a group, but if you get greedy, enemies punish you fast, so every battle feels earned. What really sells Where Winds Meet is the freedom. You roam ancient cities, bamboo forests, snowy mountains, and hidden temples, uncovering secrets, side stories, and activities that make the world feel alive instead of empty. And when the online side kicks in, it gets even better. You'll run into other players, team up for tough encounters, and turn the open world into a shared adventure instead of a solo grind. Progression feels satisfying too, because your character doesn't just level up. Your build evolves through skills, gear, and the way you choose to fight. If you want a mobile experience that feels cinematic, skill-based, and packed with atmosphere, Where Winds Meet is one of those games that can turn a quick session into a full night.